Welcome to the 2003 season of the Arnie Ball Show. This week we're going to preview our weekend matches against UC Santa Barbara. We have two guests, Jeff Patak and Matty Zivashevsky, both hitters from the team. And when we come back, we're going to talk about our week's training in Puerto Rico. So please keep it here on Channel 56.
I helped turn my child's public school into one with extended hours, 6 days a week year-round, filled with loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One with medical and dental services right there. A school where students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. Turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
Welcome to the Arnie Ball Show. You probably were afraid we'd come back for a new season, and yes, we are. We are here. I'm your host, Mark Franke, with Arnie Ball. Our sponsors this season are Fujifilm, Alco, Farm Bureau, Freedom Financial, Glenbrook Dodge, and Marathon Oil. We had 4 last year. We're up to 6. You keep adding sponsors, making it more difficult on me to remember them all and get them all in under the time constraints.
Well, if you didn't do such a good job, people wouldn't want to be part of the show. So
is that the deal?
Do a crappy job from now on, and people won't be willing to be part of this.
I've been trying to do a crappy job.
Yeah, I noticed. No, I won't even go there. I'm going to be nice to start with.
Actually, I'm doing as well as I possibly can do. I don't think my career goal ought to be TV broadcasting. I just don't think I'm cut out for that.
I think you do a wonderful job. You know what? Last year when you were gone that 1 or 2 times, and I had to sit over there. I had a terrible time, so don't be doing that to me again.
You think you had a terrible time filling in for me? You ought to see what kind of time it is interviewing you. So
that'll be easy this time around.
We have an 8-minute segment. We wasted 1 minute of it, and
there's a lot more to go.
There's a lot more to
waste.
Go. We just got back. The team. We're taping this on Tuesday, so the suntans are still there. We got back early Monday morning, I should say, from a trip to Puerto Rico where we went through a week's worth of training camp and played 3-4 matches down there. So how would you recap that week?
The most disappointing thing about the whole trip was the fact that Coach Hartley didn't get there till Tuesday.
That was disappointing to whom?
To all of us, including you.
Including me, that's right. Well, I happened to be there.
Madam Entertainment.
In the hotel when she came in, and she
from
made
morning
more
till
noise.
late morning.
I don't think an entire sorority could make as much noise as she made coming into that hotel.
Well, I guarantee the entire sorority can't make as many friends as she made in the few days she was there, mostly male.
Well, we probably shouldn't
Holy
comment on...
cow, the lady can party. Hardy.
She does have the ability to stay up rather late at night.
Oh, my goodness gracious. You know, it was a lot of fun, though. We had a great time.
Well, she was on vacation. The rest of us were working. That was the difference.
She was on vacation?
Yeah, you noticed,
we weren't? I thought we were on vacation, too.
You noticed she never went to any of the practices, did she?
That's true. She did.
She managed to always be busy when we had to go practice all those 2-a-days you were running, those 90-degree gyms.
Well, you know, we had to pretend to go down there and do something. And if you hung around her very long, you didn't do anything other than just kind of gamble a little bit and do whatever party kind of things you can do in Puerto Rico. It's a pretty low social climate down there, so there's not much to do down there.
Other than practice volleyball and then play, right?
And eat. I think we ate a lot. Didn't we eat a lot?
We ate way too much. Although I will have to admit that I weighed myself before the trip and after the trip. I did not gain any weight, so that's a personal goal for me. If I can go on the road and come back not gain weight, I'm pretty happy.
I'm not doing that because I know that I probably put on some down there. But I worked a little bit as compared to in the gym. Well, no, wait a minute. I take that back. There was a first on this trip. Might have been a second, actually, but a first on Saturday when we got to spend some time with one of our alums, Juan Ortiz. And we went to the golf course, and you went along, and you raked traps and fell in the creek. I forgot about you falling in the creek that
I was going
time.
after a ball, though. I think we found about 7 golf balls. There's water on every hole, water and/or out of bounds. And see, what maybe the viewers don't know, because my biography has not been published yet, is that I spent 9 years working at Orchard Ridge Country Club growing up, and I was a golf caddy. And one of the things that the caddies could do on Wednesday mornings, because the players didn't come till the afternoon. We'd check in early, and then we'd have the whole morning to go out in the woods and look for golf balls. And so the one skill that I retained from my years as a caddy is how to find a golf ball in the woods.
Yeah, no, I told the guys we were playing with you were a caddy, at Orchard Ridge, and they said, "Are you talking about the same Mark Franke that we know?"
Yeah,
I said, "Same guy."
I could see those balls in the. I did probably go too far into the one swamp after the one.
But you couldn't find one of mine. You found everybody else's.
I found two others. Every time somebody hit one in, I'd come out with two of them.
Yeah, it was it was really a good trip. I think the kids really enjoyed it. So did we, because it was 85 degrees and we got back home in Indianapolis on Sunday night, early Monday morning. It was 10 or 12. I mean, it was cold and we had to wait on the bus out there. I about froze to death. But from a training standpoint, I thought it went really well. And what we changed philosophically this time was the last time we went, we'd practice 2-a-days every day. And of course, then the kids couldn't walk after 3 days. So we alternated. Starting on Sunday, we went 2-a-day, 1-a-day, 2-a-day, 1-a-day. And talking to Scotty yesterday, he said, we didn't have one complaint of guys being real sore. Usually guys can't walk, or shoulders hurt, or arms hurt. We didn't have any of that. And we think had to do with a couple things. One is our stretching routine that Scotty's implemented, and the second being the warm weather and the fact that we didn't go down there and really try and grind them into the ground. So I thought the training sessions went really well. Obviously, the weather allows you to get warm quickly and be able to do some things in a relatively quick and short period of time. All the gyms we trained in were not air conditioned or played in. I guess we played in one gym that was air conditioned.
That was the only night we lost too.
Yeah,
probably too cold for us.
From that standpoint, it's really good. Our kids from Puerto Rico got to spend more time with their families, and obviously the people down there were very, very gracious to us.
We should probably interject there that Dennis Santiago's father, his name was also Dennis, really coordinated, all set it up for us.
Well, without his help, we couldn't have done it, and certainly wouldn't have been nearly as organized as it was with Dennis helping us drive and Javier helping us drive. And
well, let's not give Dennis any credit.
We'll get to that later, right? I thought the trip went really well, Mark, and I thought everybody, the players were certainly very representative of what we want to be represented like, and as our staff. And we had some people go with us, and everybody had a good time. I thought it just turned out to be a good trip.
And the players seemed to enjoy playing together. A lot, for instance. We've got several new players. We picked up one in Puerto Rico who was joining us for the spring semester that they hadn't even played with before, yet they seemed to come together well as a group, I thought.
This group has a real homogeneous tint to it, or feeling to it. And if you talk to Jeff and Maddie and Angel, the older guys, they'll all tell you the same thing, that this group is pretty tight for being a diverse in age that we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing we have to worry about then, we've had this problem before, we've come back and we've had a 50, 60 degree change in temperature, that we've had some sickness.
Yeah, we talked to him about that yesterday in practice. Obviously, when you come back here, you got to make sure you got a hat on and you wear gloves and a coat, and you're not. Matty got off the airplane in his shorts, and I said, "Hey, get your pants on right away before we get outside." That is an issue. It is a concern. Obviously, we've talked about it, and hopefully, we won't have that problem, because with the weekend coming up, we need everybody healthy right away.
Well, that's going to be important. We're going to find out about that this weekend, aren't we?
Very quickly.
When we come back, I'll be talking to Matt Zubashevsky and Jeff Patak a little bit about the week they had, and also, since both were injured last year, we'll talk about how they've come back from those injuries and how they've gotten themselves ready to play. So please stay with us here on Channel 56.
They came from every corner of the country. From small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines. A tough and determined few, dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still they come. Celebrate the 225-year history of those proud few who have earned the title. Marine.
I can listen.
I can cook.
I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help.
You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. In this segment, we have two guests. Our budget has been increased here by the management at Channel 56, and we now can afford to bring in two guests every week. And this week, we have Maddie Zabashevsky and Jeff Patak from the team. Maddie and Jeff, some of you may remember from last year, sat out last year with ACL injuries. And we're going to start by talking a little bit about what they had to do during the season, during the off season, to get ready to play this year. Let's start with you, Maddie, because you actually injured your ACL twice.
Yeah, I went through 2 surgeries last year, and so, it was tough recovery. I had to work really hard in the off season in the summer. I don't know, people might remember from a previous show, I did put on quite a bit of weight, and so
we don't talk about putting on weight on this show.
Okay,
so some of us are a little sensitive about that.
Yeah, well, I was a little too, so that's why I had to drop it up.
Well, we also showed, we had Scott Knur, our trainer, on, and he brought a film. It wasn't your ACL surgery, but it was a similar one. And we actually showed the film, and I guess anybody watched that, they got 3 hours of credit for medical technology or something, because it was rather impressive.
Well, that's what Scotty told me, that he did a show about it and showed a film. So it must have been interesting. I didn't see it yet, so hopefully I get to see it.
Jeff, both of you guys injured your ACLs in the fall.
Mine was my meniscus, actually.
We're not going to get technical on body parts, okay?
It was my knee.
The knee. Let's stick with knees, because even I understand that. Even a dumb bean counter understands where the knee is. But I didn't know. I thought the ACL was the American Civil Liberties Union or something. I heard you guys. I thought you joined up.
Yeah,
in any event, you both had injuries in the fall. You recovered very quickly, and we thought you could come back, and it was the first match of the season against Long Beach, if I remember.
Yeah.
Maddie went down right at the end of the 5th game, and at that point, obviously, he was out for the season, and you met with Coach Ball, and you decided that, in consultation with the training staff and the team doctor probably, that it would be best to leave you out for the season too.
Yeah, my recovery it was pretty slow, actually. I was ready to play against Long Beach, but my muscle was not there. It was like my quad was the size of my calf. It was about the exact same size, and the day after the match, I couldn't really walk that well. My leg was hurting, and we just decided, it was like all of us said, why don't we just skip this season, train really, really hard, and then come back next year, and this year should be the year, we all thought so.
You were going into your senior year, and then what the athletic department did was appeal to the NCAA to get both of you an injury redshirt, right? And that was approved, which is fairly typical when you're injured right at the first match, or in your case, not even play at all. Or you played one match, didn't you?
Yeah.
So each played once, and the red shirt was granted, which gave you another year for your senior year. Maddie, you now are technically a sophomore by eligibility, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I played, this is my 5th year, and I'll actually be able to graduate, which I'm really proud of. Initially I wasn't going to graduate, and I was just going to go play some volleyball, make some money, and then come back and go to school, but now I actually get to graduate, so I'm really excited about that.
You were an art major one time, weren't you?
I take a lot of art classes.
Okay. What's your major?
It's general studies. I was elementary ed before the Division I transfer, because I didn't have enough credits towards it, so I had to go to general studies.
Okay. So you both did certain kinds of rehabilitation things under the direction of our training staff here, and of course under the surgeon, the team doctor. You did that throughout the spring, throughout the summer, and then came back for fall training, right?
Yeah, Scotty he was just amazing. Him and Dan. Actually, Dan doesn't work with us. He works with the basketball team from now on, but Scotty is our trainer, and he's been incredible with us. Every day just helping us out. Our training is pretty rigorous when we actually have the rehab session. It's really hard, but everything's been awesome, and I would like to thank Scotty for that. So.
Me too.
Well, we'll get Scotty on here one of these shows. One of these days we'll have him on here. Matt, you obviously had to go through a second operation And so probably at that point you were behind Jeff in your development, had to take it a little easier. Because I know you spent most of the season limping.
Yeah, I spent actually like 6 weeks on crutches. And so it was, the rehab process was a lot slower my second time around. But we had to make sure that everything goes smoothly, so that I had a lot more time actually to rehab this time too. So, you know, we figured better go slow and be ready for next year to go.
And you also worked on various other kinds of weight training things, strengthening and so forth, right?
Yeah, I did a lot of weight training during the summer actually. I worked out about 6 days a week in the summer and swam because I couldn't really run still. My knee would swell up a little bit, so I did a lot of swimming, which was a lot easier on the joints, but still a very good workout.
I'd like to add that Manny did drop 40 pounds, everybody. 40 pounds in about 4 months, so even Frankie, if you were looking into doing that, you could probably do it too.
My wife does not need to hear that.
Matt could probably write up a program for you, and you could follow it. And
so
swimming is the way to go.
So the ice has melted up there in Great White North by the summer?
Oh yeah, by the summertime. it's still pretty cold, but you know, it's melted. You can go out and swim.
Okay. I'll make a note of that and get right on it, okay?
Oh yeah.
Let's fast forward now to last week. We spent a week, or actually a little more than a week, training in Puerto Rico, which everybody says, oh wow, what a great vacation. But we had 2-a-day practices most of the time, played 4 times, including twice on one day. Gyms were hot, humid. So tell us a little bit about that side of the trip.
You can start, Manny, if you wish.
Well, actually, it was a very nice trip, both vacation-wise and training. The nice thing about the warm weather was when we got into the gym, it was very easy to get warmed up, loosened up to go ahead and play. It's as opposed to playing here in the cold, it takes a little time to warm up the body so that, you know, you can go in and not risk injury if you're not warm. So that was the nice part about it.
Is there the opposite effect on the back end then, playing in that kind of heat and humidity, because they're not air conditioned, the gyms, for the most part? Do you tire faster, wear down sooner?
I said maybe you get dehydrated a little bit.
Very dehydrated.
I mean, I'd rather be dehydrated and drink a lot of water to, you know, be hydrated than to, you know, take half an hour to 45 minutes to actually warm up. So it was a big advantage to be down there in the warmth, and I thought it helped the team out a lot. It was a good thing for us to do this year.
So your plan is to heat the Gates Sports Center up to about 85 degrees before we play?
I was in there yesterday, and you know, I had to wear a long sleeve, and it was cold. I was there. It was
85 would be nice.
85 would be nice. Probably be 65, right?
Yeah, right. Whatever.
Let's see. What else do we want to talk about here?
Talk about how nice the weather was.
How nice the weather was?
Make everybody jealous who's watching the show right now, and
we got really tanned and stuff. It was really nice.
You spent a lot of time on the beach?
yeah.
Yes.
Did a lot of body surfing. I almost died about 4 or 5 times, but it was fun. We had a good time.
Oh, that would be real nice if we'd had an accident like that while we were down there.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Make sure people know that we don't let our players do that if we know about it in advance, right?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
We come back now and we play Santa Barbara this weekend, play them twice. And it's a different kind of volleyball, isn't it, from what they played down there?
Definitely. The players down there are very short. No, I don't think anyone was as tall as any of our players, but they were very fast. Everything was quick offense. And I haven't seen tape on Santa Barbara. I don't know how they play, but I know in the States everyone's a lot bigger, you know, and maybe it's a little slower. I'm not sure, but we'll be prepared. We'll be all right.
It's a little more textbook, I think, in the States. Down there, they were always moving players around, doing different things, substituting all the time. And here we go back to a limited substitution rule. Generally, you put your team out there, you design an offense that's supposed to work when you run it. And so there's a lot of side outs, and it looks like it's more textbook or
technical.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that. Definitely. So.
Well, we got about a minute left. What are your predictions for the season? Got some new players coming in. Got you two back. It's almost like we have a new team.
Yeah, we do actually have a new team, and I think we'll do fine as long as we keep playing like we did in Puerto Rico. we'll be okay.
I was on the '99 team my freshman year. Last time we were in the Final Four, and from what I've seen so far, I think we're a step ahead of that team as in training-wise since January. I think it's going to be an exciting year. I hope everyone comes to watch.
We're a lot younger though. That team was just mostly seniors. You were the only freshman around.
Yeah, I was a youngster.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. We'll bring you back at the end of the season, see if your prediction came true.
All right.
Well, it's Jeff Patak and Matt Zbyszewski, players from the team who are back off injuries and should have exciting seasons this year. When we come back, Arnie and I will preview the Santa Barbara matches this weekend, so please stay with us.
May he bless you and keep you. May he grant you peace. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for coming. I'll see you all next week, and please be careful going home.
This is me, and my mom and dad, and my big brother Alex, and Jack. This is the day I learned that sandals got their name from sand, and that the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, it kills over 1,500 people every year and injures 71,000 more. Inadequate sleep has been linked to health and safety risks, even premature death. But today, new treatments are helping millions get the sleep they need. So talk to your doctor or take our free risk assessment on the web at sleepfoundation.org. Sleep deprivation. It's real, it's dangerous, and it's more treatable than ever.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. Arnie, the last segment was Jeff and Maddie. They're even dressing alike now. Those two guys are inseparable. They hang out all the time together. Do they live together?
Yes.
They live together. They hang out. The whole trip to Puerto Rico, they were together. All last season, because they're both injured, they're always together everywhere. Now they're even dressing alike.
Well, first of all, did you notice this T-shirt they had on you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the new logo. That's the new camouflage T-shirt that hopefully will be all over the place on Friday night in the gymnasium. And I already know the soccer team has got them. And that's the new theme for the year. So that part's pretty neat in regards to that. But there's another piece to that, them being close together. You know, Maddie's from Toronto and Jeff's from Buffalo. And so when they go home, they actually go home together because Maddie just jumps across Niagara Falls there. Not literally. Well, maybe he did. I don't know. But anyhow, so they ride back and forth. They become very, very close friends. That's what this thing's all about, Mark.
And the other thing is, this is coincidental, but it's interesting. Both are of Polish heritage, so we have our Polish hitting team.
Hitting team,
Polish hitting
whatever.
Team.
I'm going to stay away from that. Maddie's dad's coming down here this weekend. He'll whoop me.
Maddie's dad told me, he said, "You guys don't pronounce Jeff's last name right." And I says, the announcer always calls him P-Tac or something like that. He says, "It's Patak." I says, "Okay, I'll take your word for it."
It's like I can pronounce their first names, let alone their last names.
What does it mean? He says, "It means bird." So
yeah, well,
we'll just start calling him Birdie or something.
Yeah, that'll make him real happy.
Well, looking ahead this weekend, we're doing something different this weekend. We're starting out Friday night in the Gates Center, but then instead of playing Saturday night, we're going to play instead on Sunday afternoon.
Well, we've in the past had a tournament here in January where we brought 4 teams in, and matter of fact, last year we just brought Long Beach in and then had Concordia here as well. That tournament format is a nice format if you want to spend a lot of money and have nobody show up because you end up playing those preliminary matches, and because we don't play in that, nobody really comes to watch. So the expenses is a great deal and the work is a great deal. I talked to Coach Preston at Santa Barbara and I said, I'd like for you to come out. We'll help with some of your expenses and so on and so forth, but we'd like to play twice, and we'd like to play on Friday, and then we can have a day off for both of our teams to prepare to get ready to play the next day. on Sunday, and the reason we'd like to play on Sunday is, number one, it gives us some time to prepare, and number two, NBC 33, Channel 33 here, had contacted me over a year ago about maybe trying to have one of our matches on television live, like we did back in 1994 with UCLA. And Sunday afternoon is the best time for them to put it on the air. So that's how that all came about, and when I talked to Kenny, he said, sure, we'll come out and do that, so that's why the format's the way it is.
But you're also doing that on another weekend, aren't you?
We're doing it the following weekend with George Mason's coming in, and once again, the reason is that NBC 33 was so excited about doing this and looking for some time on Sunday afternoons that's available, that we agreed to do it twice, and the next one is Super Bowl weekend, and it's 4 to 6, and you know, the Super Bowl pre-thing goes on and on and on, and we think we'll have a real nice audience of people that are flipping back and forth or just bored of listening to the pre-Super Bowl stuff and want to look for something else. So it's a pretty exciting couple weeks for us in that regard.
I should probably ask, John, are we on Channel 56 Friday night? Okay, so actually, there's two great nights to come out. Friday night starts at 7. If you can't make it, tune in to Channel 56, and then Sunday at 4, and that one will be on Channel 33.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know how we can, first of all, have a better...
And 56 both, John?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, John was saying it's going to be on both channels.
Whether we have a better marquee name, because Santa Barbara was here in '88 for the Final Four, and obviously everybody knows where it is, the TV series, I mean, et cetera, and a very quality program, obviously. That we play Friday and be on television, and Saturday or Sunday be on television. Yeah, it's just a great opportunity for us to kick off the year, and we're really excited about that happening.
And we wouldn't mind at all if we had to beat Coach Preston twice, would we?
That would be really, really fun.
We would enjoy that, and the day off would allow us to, you know, remind him about how he's going to get beat again on Sunday after we beat him Friday night.
That would be a real pleasure, wouldn't it?
We would enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, I think the matches would be really good. You know, we're real pleased the way our kids performed down in Puerto Rico, and Santa Barbara just had their big tournament this last weekend, and we're obviously very competitive. They didn't win the tournament, but they were very competitive. And it's early in the year. I mean, we've only practiced 6 or 7 days, and they've done the same. So I expect both matches to be very entertaining and very good.
And we've had a heck of a series with these. Yeah,
our rivalry goes way back to the Jay Goldstein days and all those days.
Absolutely.
And the relationship we have with Coach Preston and the school is just it's a nice rival. It's probably as strong a rivalry as we have with somebody in West Coast.
Well, we've got about 45 seconds left. I better start on the sponsors. I won't get through them all. For head coach Arnie Ball, our sponsors Fujifilm, Alco, Farm Bureau, Freedom Financial, Marathon Oil, and Glenbrook Dodge. For our guest, Matty Zabashevsky, Jeff Patak, the entire staff here at Channel 56 Sports. This is Mark Franke. So long. Thanks for watching. Please watch again this weekend as we play, and tune in next week for the Arnie Ball Show. Welcome to this week's Arnie Ball Show. We're going to preview our weekend matches against some East Coast teams. Our guests this week are Matty Zbyszewski and our trainers, Scott Knurr. And when we come back, Arnie and I are going to talk about a rather successful weekend where we split with UC Santa Barbara. So please stay with us here on Channel 56.
They came from every corner of the country. From small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines. A tough and determined few, dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still they come. Celebrate the 225-year history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
Welcome to the Arnie Ball Show. I'm your host, Mark Franke, and our sponsors this week are Farm Bureau Insurance, Alco Distributors, Fujifilm, Marathon Oil, Glenbrook Dodge, and Freedom Financial. If we get any more sponsors, Arnie, we'll just have to cut out a segment so we can get through them all.
You know, I was watching the show, and I very seldom watch the show, but I watched last Friday before our game with Santa Barbara because it was on in the office, and I noticed that you were reading those sponsors, so you need to memorize those so it doesn't look like you're reading them.
So you just gave away the one professional secret I have. Taped underneath the camera I look directly into are the sponsors, and I might add they are written, John's written them in very big letters, so someone, Arnie wrote them, okay. So even wait, you wrote those?
I wrote those.
You always write real small. I'm surprised I can read them.
I knew that you were going to have to read them for a long
time. That's right. That is nice so that we have that many sponsors, because not only they help this show, they help us with the matches we telecast. By the way, Sunday against George Mason will be on both Channel 56 and Channel 33, and we'll talk more about that in the last segment.
Well, Mark, without our corporate sponsors and individual sponsors, it'd be real difficult to do the kind of things we do. You know, we have the big posters and the T-shirts and certainly the television on Sunday, this past Sunday with Santa Barbara, that was televised on TV 33. Thanks to our corporate sponsors, we were able to do that. And, you know, the weather was really cold on Sunday, and I was a little disappointed in our crowd, but after I've been around the community a little bit the last 3 or 4 days, I think a large number of people watched the game on 33 because they said, you know, it was just really, really cold, and I understood that because it was cold for us too. So thanks to our corporate sponsors so we can do all those things.
Well, I did talk to the coaching staff of Santa Barbara, and they were sitting on our end of the floor. That would be, what, the south end? Is it south and north there? Because we're kind of cockeyed with the east and west.
Yeah.
And normally we would sit at that end, and the visiting team would sit near the front doors, and they said, it's too cold for us Southern California to sit near those doors. They wanted the warmer side to start on.
It's ironic. I told Angel if we lose the toss, we want to take the west end. Apparently we won the toss every time and chose to receive, because, you know, that's what you do in rally scoring. I'm going to tell him if it's that cold this weekend, I don't care if we win or lose the toss. We're taking the west end.
Well, there's a way to solve that problem. Tell them to get out there and get on that bench before the visiting team shows up.
Yeah, you can do that. But, you know, it doesn't totally solve the problem, because if they lose the toss, they can choose in. So
actually, the protocol or the courtesy in volleyball, they offered to move, because when I told them that was where we normally sit, and they said they'd move if we wanted. I said, no, that's been our home bench now, and the last 2 seasons we're losing seasons. We need to make some kind of change. So that must have been the secret on Sunday.
Worked out okay.
Worked out okay.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of last weekend, we had 2 very, very nice matches. Friday night we lost in 5, and I think probably in large part due to some freshman mistakes made late. But the fact that we were competitive with a top 10 ranked team after where we've been the last couple of years was encouraging. And then Sunday, coming back and just playing amazing volleyball. There must have been some major coaching changes done on Saturday, right? Must be coaching brilliance.
You know, Yes, actually it was. and I do want to talk about some of that stuff in a few minutes, but you know me, we have to digress back just a little bit. Part of the reason that it changed from Friday to Sunday, the way we played, was the fact that we had all of our alumni in here this weekend, and I'm just really, really tickled of all the people that came back, both the guys and the gals. I think we ended up with about almost 40 total at some point or another, either playing or being at the game on Sunday night or being at my house Saturday night.
And it was rather noisy. I had trouble getting to bed with all the noise coming from across the creek.
Probably the reason we played really well on Sunday was because the gals and the guys, the alumni I'm talking about, and the #1 party animal on our campus, Coach Hartley, were at my home until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I kept saying, you know, I have practice in the morning. And they kept saying, we don't care. You know, you'll be a grouch anyhow. It doesn't make any difference. Right. You'll be mean, yeah, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of blame it on Coach Hartley and our alumni in regards to my attitude towards the team in regards to the way we played on Sunday. And practice Saturday morning wasn't real pleasant for them or me, either one. We got after it pretty good after the way we played on Friday. And I think that I really think that had something to do with it. You know, the response that the players had from our practice Saturday morning. I think certainly the opportunity for Jeff to play emotionally as well as physically raised our level of execution and play expectation, not only from our own players but from him, from just everybody, coaching staff. But we certainly played like a pretty good team on Sunday.
We did not make a lot of errors. As I was saying before we went on the air, one of the problems our team has had the last several years is that we get into rotations where we don't just give up one real point, say, which would have been a point under the old scoring system, but we'll give up 4 or 5. And on Sunday, I don't know that happened. I think when we'd give up a point, we would quickly cut it off and then come back side out, which would give us a point, and we'd reestablish our lead.
Well, you know, as we look at tape and break it all down, your point is well made. An addendum to that is that, you know, we keep track of those real points, and real points being when you serve and you score, like in the old scoring system. We outscored them 2-1 in real points for that 3-game match. That's almost unheard of unless there's a great disparity between the caliber of the teams, and certainly Santa Barbara's a very quality team. So. That just means that we served the ball extremely well, and we did. And we blocked the ball extremely well, and we did. And we turned balls. I mean, we did some really nice things on Sunday that I didn't see hardly any of on Friday.
Well, certainly you mentioned Jeff Patax being on the floor raised the morale of the team. They're happy to see him back. And I don't get to watch us play much. I'm watching the other side, obviously. But the one thing I remember about Jeff's contribution is not his offense, and not even his passing, which is very good, but he made some defensive plays that were not difficult plays or brilliant plays, but they were the right play, especially when he was like left front blocking. He'd pull off and get those sharp angles Santa Barbara was hitting, and he'd just play them up so we could transition the ball and score, as you say, a real point.
Well, there's no doubt that not only the emotional side, but the fact that Jeff's a 5th-year senior, he's played on the national team, he has all that experience, and he can make things happen easily where somebody else struggles to make things happen. And you know, when that happens, it makes a big difference the way you play.
So it's not all coaching brilliance. It might be the fact our All-American came back. Nah, let's stick with the coaching brilliance.
I don't think so at all. We talk about that in the 3rd segment when I come back.
Okay, we're going to go back. We'll talk about the coaching brilliance again in the 3rd segment. When we come back, trainer Scotty Knurr will be here, as well as Matty Zavashevsky, and we'll talk about some injury issues. So please stay with us.
As time flows on, there are places we return to again and again. Places that comfort us with their serenity. Places that astound us with their beauty. Places where our memories come to life. Precious places. timeless places. Places that with your help can endure forever. I'm Paul Newman. Help the Nature Conservancy save the last great places around the world.
I was a liberal arts major in college.
I didn't speak a second language.
What could I?
What could I offer the Peace Corps?
The answer surprised me. I served in South Africa teaching HIV/AIDS awareness.
Working with my students in Nicaragua was a great experience. We taught each other a lot about our countries and cultures.
This is the Peace Corps today.
Redefine your world. Join the Peace Corps.
Apply now at peacecorps.gov.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you?
You put me on the spot.
True or false? Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer.
True. I'd say false.
No, it's true.
That's something new to me.
The Office of the Surgeon General recommends all homes be tested for radon.
False.
It's true.
True.
So that's bad. We should get our house tested. Sure, I'm gonna call it.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
How can you not call? 1-800-SOS-RADON.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. Our guest this week is junior opposite Matt Sivashevsky and our team trainer, Scott Knurr. As you may have watched last week, and I'm sure you've all watched this on a weekly basis. You know, we had Maddie on with Jeff Patak and talked a little bit about their injuries, and they're coming back to play this weekend. And so this week, Arnie asked Scotty to come on to talk a little bit about, from the trainer's perspective, what the players have gone through this fall and how he helped get them ready for the season opener. Scott, obviously, Maddie came back a little faster than Jeff did, but you did have Jeff ready to go by Sunday. And according to Blake Sebring, it was a tough decision over there on the sideline between you and Coach Ball and the team doctor and half of the United Nations trying to make the decision whether Jeff could play or not.
Well, the thing was, it wasn't a decision we necessarily thought we were going to have to make. We weren't sure that he was going to be ready even that morning, and he came out during warm-ups on Sunday, and I couldn't believe what he was able to do, and that's the main criteria in my mind, what the athlete is able to do functionally. And when I saw Jeff jumping out of the gym, I mean, I was amazed, and watching him continue to go through, you know, seeing his jump serve, seeing him attack, watching him block, and just he was moving real well, and I was amazed with that. And I know Arnie was quite excited once he saw that, and you know, the question was, you know, can we play him? And at that point, you know, it wasn't a concern with the knees as much as it was that he just hadn't played in a couple of months, and would his legs be able to tolerate a 5-game match? Well, luckily he came out there, the whole team played well, we only had to go 3, and Jeff was able to play for the entire match and played very well, I thought.
Matt, from the player's perspective, of course, you don't know if Jeff's going. So Friday night, the decision was made again just prior to the match started that he wouldn't go. You of course, have been back for the entire fall season and for the Puerto Rico trip as well. What was the attitude of the team when they saw Jeff warming up and the anticipation they might be able to play?
No, people got excited. They didn't show it too much, but that's all that there was talk. Everybody was whispering, is Jeff going to play? Is Jeff going to play? Oh my God, this is amazing. And so everybody got really excited, including myself. I mean, I live with the guy. I pretty much know exactly what he's going through, and I pretty much went with him through it all this time. And so I was excited for him as well. And I know he was a little nervous at first because we talked about it afterwards, but you know, he said he had to go out there and help the team in any kind of way he could.
Well, he certainly helped you from an offensive standpoint because you were able to hit 58%, which and maybe talk for a minute about how a player of Jeff's caliber, a senior All-American with his background, even when he doesn't necessarily hit for a high percentage or get a lot of sets, he opens up possibilities for other hitters like you.
Oh, I mean, everybody's got to go with him. I mean, he's a senior All-American, like you said, amazing player, U.S. national team. Blockers have to respect him, no matter how he's doing in the game. And once they do that, it opens it up for everybody. Plus, with Sardar and Angel having a great game, holding the middles, it was easy. It was mostly one blockers all the time, and so it made it really easy offensively for me.
So then, I guess the question Coach Ball has to ask you is, why did you only hit 58%? Should have hit better from the way you just described how easy things were.
I should have. The 2 errors I had were minimal. I mean, I just stepped over the line a little bit, and they were both kills. So
yeah, that is true. Your only errors were when you were called from the back row coming over the 3.
Yeah, I got too excited. The first ball I got, I was like, oh my God, that's why. Just stepped over a little bit, but hey, 58% is pretty good.
Pretty good. Sadar beat you.
I know. It's 2 nights in a row that he beat me.
2 nights in a row, Sadar beat you with percentage. We'll get him on the show sometime and ask him about that. Scott, going back to Jeff. Last week we had Maddie and Jeff on. We didn't really talk about Jeff's fall injury. We talked about last year's major problems with the operations and that rehab. So could you explain a little bit about what's been holding Jeff back this season as opposed to what kept him out last?
First of all, Jeff came back probably in the best shape that I've seen him. Coming back off those surgeries, he worked all summer as hard as he could, working on quad strength, working on power. Just he came back in unbelievable condition, the strongest his quads have probably been in a couple of years. And he did real well for the first month and a half, and all of a sudden he started having some knee pain. And it looked like maybe it was tendonitis, but we looked a little bit closer at it, and it's basically Osgood-Schlatter's, or what they call growing pains. And for a guy that's almost 6'4" and 23 years old, you don't really think about that as being a potential injury. But he started getting these knots on the front of his knees, experiencing a lot of pain with that, and it was just a matter of trying to get him through practices in the fall. We'd back him off, and it would continue to progress worse and worse. We'd rest him, and we just couldn't, make any progress with it. And so then we thought with the rest that he would get, the 3-4 weeks of rest that he would get before the beginning of this season, that would really make a difference. And again, he went home. We had him on exercises, doing rehab on his own. He came back again in just unbelievable condition. His quad strength was excellent, the pain was gone, and we thought we'd made it over this big hump. And within the first couple practices, he was again back to where we were before at his worst in November. So again, we backed him off. We really pushed the stretching, worked the rehab exercises, and he continued to progress day by day. By this Tuesday, he was able to practice. We continued working with him. He was still in a fair amount of pain with it, but we were continuing to work with him with a lot of massage, a lot of icing, electrical modalities, just trying to get his pain under control. And by Friday, he was doing better, but still not to a point where we felt comfortable with having him jump. And we continued working with him through the weekend. And Sunday morning, he was doing better, but still not fantastic. We worked with him hard, treated him a couple of times on Sunday, and by the time pregame rolled around, he was mentally focused enough that he thought he could participate. So we said, go through warm-up, see how you do, and I mean, it was amazing what he was able to accomplish. The thing with this type of injury, he's not going to cause problems with the knee itself structurally. He's not going to tear his tendon with it. It's just a lot of pain that he was experiencing. So once we got that minimized and he was focused enough to where he could block that pain out, I mean, he was able to participate at what I thought was a fairly high level. I mean, I can't jump as high as that guy can, so I mean, it was just amazing at what he was able to accomplish.
So maybe Osgood-Schlatter's is why I'm having pain in my belt lines. The same thing, growing pains? You think?
A little bit different.
Do you have a different regimen from me?
Probably be a lot of the same stuff, but
what about the rest of the team? Are we pretty healthy?
I mean, we've got the general aches and pains that you would see. I mean, Coach worked them really hard down in Puerto Rico. A lot of heat, a lot of humidity. We're drinking unbelievable amounts of water, fluid replacement, things like that. We were also on a very good stretching program, I thought, this year, and actually we're looking pretty good this year injury-wise at this point. I mean, the flexibility is unbelievable. We were able to avoid a lot of just the general aches and pains and muscle soreness during the two-a-day practices, which usually most of the guys can't walk up and down the steps after the first few practices, and we were able to do that and continue jumping at a high level for the entire week, and everybody's strong right now, and we're looking pretty good for the most part.
Maddie, you of course had to go through rehab over the summer and fall as well, and you went through a certain training regimen you talk a little bit about that?
Well, actually, this summer was mostly a drop some weight program for me.
You brought that up last week.
Yeah, we brought that up,
Yeah,
but that's pretty much what it was. I think my knee, right up until that time, got to the point where it was okay, but I needed to shed some of the weight to, lessen the pressure on it. Like 40 pounds does put a lot more pressure on your knees, and so I couldn't have done any jumping or anything like that until I dropped all that. And after I did that, I mean, rehab went smooth. Like, I played a lot of beach volleyball and stuff like that, and swam a lot, which really had no pressure on the knees at all. And that pretty much was my rehab. That's
what about fall? During the fall 6-week training period?
During the fall, I did a Performance 1 rehab, which is like high level performance for athletes to get back into playing shape. And that really helped me out a lot. And coming in to see Scotty in the training room and icing and doing that kind of stuff.
So you have no more pain. You're fully healed in terms of the knee injury.
Yes, no more pain. Like on Sunday, I had no pain before, during, or after, which was a really good sign. The swelling's almost gone to a minimal, if any. And so it feels 100%.
That's good. 100% is what we want to hear, right?
Yep, exactly. It's a good number.
You did a good job with him, Scooter. Now you just got to bring Jeff around to that last 10% or so, whatever he needs, and
we'll get him there.
We'll be there.
Yep.
That's trainer Scott Knurr and opposite hitter Matt Zivashevsky. When we come back, Arnie and I will preview this weekend's matches on Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Please stay with us.
It's the most magnificent sight in the universe. This planet full of life and wonder. This planet we call home. As an Earth Team volunteer, you can help the Natural Resources Conservation Service care for it, right in your own community. Call 1-888-LAND-CARE to find out how, because there's just no place like home.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. Arnie, we probably, before we start talking about this weekend, just recap a couple of things from last weekend. We had some significant things happen. First of all, it was Coach Hartley's TV debut as a color commentator for Channel 56.
What kind of grade did you give her?
I never watched it. I was busy, so I don't know.
I watched just a little bit of
it. But I did think it was nice that they probably don't want me to talk about this, but there was a technical difficulty with her microphone, and she couldn't talk for like 8 minutes. I told her that was intentional. No, she wasn't.
She couldn't survive for 8 minutes without being able to talk.
Actually, she was talking, but nobody was hearing it, which is even better. Isn't that great? Wasn't that perfect?
Which is what we do anyhow with her. We don't pay attention to anything she
That's
says
right.
to start with.
That was perfect.
Her team probably applauded.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, secondly, on a more serious note, we had an awful lot of parents here this weekend. Maddie's parents, of course, come a lot. Jeff Patak's father was here. Dreisbach, Bellman, and Daiga. But most importantly, we had the Santiagos and the Garcias from Puerto Rico.
It's always nice to have parents come, Mark, and especially when the kids from a long distance, and of course we got a lot of kids from long distance, parents are able to come and share the weekend with their kids. And, I've talked about this before. It's always nice to have them here. Sometimes it's a distraction. And I thought our kids handled all that really well this weekend.
Yep, they sure did. And the other thing that probably want to comment on is Javier Garcia. Here's someone that is a junior transfer. You put him in Jeff's place, and he's played there in the fall and in Puerto Rico on Friday night. And then with Jeff coming back, you moved him to libero, and he still turned in a nice performance.
Well, Mark, we talked last week, and I talked to the media last week also about the depth of this team. And that kind of reinforces what we talked about. We got kids, Daiga, Javier, Isaac, Ryan Staley, Nick, all who can play multiple positions. If you recall, on Sunday, in Game 2, I took Sadar out and put Mike Daiga in to play middle. And right now Mike is our backup middle, backup outside. Could play opposite, but Mitch Dreisbach plays there, so we don't need anybody there. Went in and served like 2 or 3 balls and served an ace right away. Blocked the ball a little later on. And this is a kid's a freshman who has a very limited background, except obviously a lot of training he's gotten from his dad and so on and so forth. Well, Javier fits in that same mode. The nice part about that is that not only do we have that flexibility, but as the season goes along, and we've played 2 matches and already everybody's bubbling excited and wow, how can you play any better? Well, we can play a lot better, and we're going to have to play a lot better as the season goes along. But we also know that we got some kids that are going to need some rest. In the past we've never been able to rest people. Jeff and Maddie and Angel and some of those kids just can't go full bore like they did last weekend for 3.5 months. With this kind of depth and versatility like Javier has, and the other kids have that I mentioned, I think we're able to do some things that we haven't done for a long time, actually. Maybe even we didn't clear back to 92 as far as being able to really truly play some people and let some other people have some rest.
And you may get that opportunity this weekend because we have 2 non-conference matches. I think Saturday night it's St. Francis.
Correct.
From Pennsylvania. And then Sunday is George Mason. And neither of those are conference matches. So you have some opportunity then to get some more experience for these younger players.
Well, certainly we'll look at Saturday night's match with that expectation. We've not played St. Francis before. They're probably, 4th, maybe 5th in the league out the IVA, their Division I program out of Pennsylvania. And a really a nice program, but not to the level that Penn State is. On Sunday, when we play George Mason, we have a really nice rivalry with George Mason. We played them along, and they beat us last year a couple times.
We owe them.
We owe them.
Exactly.
So we're going to look to gear up on Sunday. Obviously, not only because we owe them, but also because it's on Channel 33 on 56 on televised, and we want to play well on Sunday. I don't mean we don't want to play well on Friday, but yeah, I think we'll have some opportunity to do the 2 kind of things we need to do this weekend.
So this weekend on Sunday it's 4 o'clock, right?
Correct.
4 o'clock, it'll be on Channel 56 here, and the Channel 56 feed will be going to Channel 33 as well, so you can watch it on either channel. Saturday night you'll have to come out because it's not on TV. We play at 7 o'clock, and Friday night we have off, right?
Friday night you have off. We'll be practicing.
You'll be practicing. No, that's too bad. I really feel bad about that.
Friday night we'll be working.
So if I have to go down to the American Legion and do my patriotic duty, it'll be without you, right?
Just salute for me, will you?
Okay.
Here's the salute. Salute Arnie. Salute Arnie.
Do that. Well, I better get started on this list of sponsors or we'll never get out of here. Well, for head coach Arnie Ball, our trainer Scotty Knurr, Matty Zibashevsky, all of our sponsors, Fujifilm, Alco, Farm Bureau, Glenbrook Dodge, Marathon Oil, Freedom Financial, the staff here at Channel 56. This is Mark Franke. So long. Thanks for watching. Please join us again next week at this time and watch the Volleydowns this weekend. Welcome to the Arnie Ball Show. This week we're going to preview two matches at home against Dalhousie from Nova Scotia. We have assistant coach Ryan Perrott as our guest, and when we come back, Arnie and I will talk about this past weekend where we had two wins against East Coast teams, St. Francis and George Mason. So please keep it here on Channel 56.
As time flows on, there are places we return to again and again. Places that comfort us with their serenity. Places that astound us with their beauty. Places where our memories come to life. Precious places, timeless places, places that with your help can endure forever. I'm Paul Newman. Help the Nature Conservancy save the last great places around the world.
Welcome to this week's Arnie Ball Show. I'm your host, Mark Franke, and we are sponsored once again by Freedom Financial, Fujifilm, Alco Distributors, Glenbrook Dodge, Marathon Oil, and Farm Bureau Insurance. Well, after a rough countdown here going into this first segment, they're having trouble back there counting backwards from 10 back in the booth. Of course, they've got Mike Moss and back there causing all sorts of distractions for our A-list director, John Yaus. And Ryan Perrott's back there. He's probably playing with stuff. They have to keep slapping his hands because he likes that equipment back there. So I think we can go now, right? We're on the air.
What are you trying to say, Mark?
I don't know. I guess we ought to.
We need to send John down to countdown school. We can send him down to NASA. They count down.
We'll work with John on. John puts the sponsors up for me in front of the camera, so I don't miss them. I'm going to have to do the same thing for him. Countdown from 10 through 1, so he doesn't get confused. He missed 3.
Maybe Moss and Perrott don't have enough fingers and toes to go around, so they can't count down correctly.
Well, yeah, we were talking about some of their physical defects a little earlier before we went on the air. We'll maybe get to them later.
You know, it's obviously Hartley has recruited Moss to be here so that we don't beat up her. In Rock's case, with his ability to keep all you awake in Puerto Rico for 8 days, what do you want him doing back there?
I will ask him about the Puerto Rico trip because I think over 8 days I got 45 minutes of sleep.
But he enjoyed every minute of it.
He enjoyed every minute of it, yeah. So, but meanwhile, we had a couple wins this last weekend, didn't we?
I have to throw out a challenge.
A challenge?
I got a challenge. To Mark Pope.
Mark Pope, okay.
Mike Moss, Ken Horman, and Blake Sebring, in that order. I don't think any one of the 4 of them can keep up with me on the dance floor.
Oh, when you were dancing what was that, the Macarena or something?
They're all making fun of me. On Sunday, the game was so boring, I had to do something to jive it up a little bit. So, I'm out doing my thing, and they're all making fun. I don't think one of those guys can even come close to keep up with me on the dance floor.
I think Mike Moss has rhythm. I'm just not sure. I've not seen it, but I'll bet he's probably pretty good.
Well, there's a lot to be rhythmical about as it goes back and forth, but
well, yeah. Fortunately,
I question his rhythm.
Fortunately, when you were doing your dance, it was during a commercial break, and they're playing the music, so none of the viewers at home were forced to watch it like the rest of us were.
John, that's a challenge to you also. Next time we play that song, buddy, I'll be boogaloo, and you get that on there.
Okay, we can maybe do it while we're on the air, rather than maybe put that in place of the national anthem.
Yeah, I don't know. Our national anthem's been really good. I don't want to mess that up. I'm really happy with the national anthem. That's one part of the presentation I like a whole bunch.
That's right. We've been fortunate to have someone come in and sing it each time.
They've been very good.
Yeah. Well, back to this last weekend, we're on a 3-game winning streak.
Are we talking about volleyball or what?
Yeah, we try to at least 1 minute out of every segment talk about volleyball.
I don't want to ruin your reputation because people like the fact that we don't talk about volleyball on here.
Well, the last 2 seasons when we were losing all the time, there was a method to our madness. But this year we probably ought to talk more about it.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Well, we have a 3-game winning streak, and I was told by the Iron Man, Mr. Moss, that the women's basketball team will be playing Saturday. In fact, they'll be televised at 1 o'clock here on Channel 56, and they are going for 3 in a row.
What's that got to do with us?
Well, I think we're setting the pace.
Huh?
I think we're setting the pace.
What's Moss trying to say? He just wants us to keep winning so the women's basketball team can
That's
keep winning?
right, so
Is
they
that
can
the,
win
that the
too.
deal?
Yep.
Okay.
So the St. Francis, we'd never played them before, and we didn't play particularly well, but we controlled the match. You had set a goal in advance that we did not want to give them 25 points in any game. I think we met that goal, didn't we?
I believe so.
And then you set the goal for the next night as well against George Mason, but we were not quite as good at meeting on Sunday afternoon, I should say.
Which means that we'll have to have a little extracurricular activity at practice today.
So now I want to know, when we played Dalhousie, since they're from Great White North, do the points count the same? I mean, is 30 points American, about 50 Canadian? Do they have to score 50 to win? I think that ought to be the rule.
I think that's a good idea.
We'll ask Mr. Perrott, who's a Canadian citizen, when he comes on.
We haven't talked about that, but I'll bet we might get Dan to buy into that there, Coach. Probably not. But that's a good idea. I like that.
We'll try that.
Yeah.
We'll see if that works. But back to, let's go back to George Mason.
Okay.
George Mason's a pretty good program, and even though the scores were close in at least 2 of the games, I think we controlled the match pretty well the whole night.
Well, we were ahead the whole time in the match, for sure. I think our kids are playing with a lot of confidence right now, and felt that even though George Mason in particular, their opposite, who played really, really well, really was the only guy that offensively hurt us a whole bunch, but he hurt us a whole bunch. Left-handed kid from up in Rock's part of the world and up from Toronto. I thought our kids were pretty much in control of the whole match, and fortunately for us, Maddie played really well offensively, and Jeff played real well offensively also. Didn't play well maybe some other aspects, but we didn't certainly play to the level that we played against Santa Barbara a week ago Sunday.
We got some blocks at important times when they were trying to make a run near the end, and we got some blocks. So that's something of our game that has not been particularly strong over the last several years. So it looks like maybe that's improving this year.
Well, if you recall, the 10-minute timeout that we have between games 2 and 3, I discussed with the players a little bit our inability to serve aggressively like we did the whole match for Santa Barbara. And I thought we came out, if you remember, Maddie served an ace right away. We came out and served much more aggressively, and when you do that, as you know, it gives you a chance to block more balls. And right now our team is not playing very well in the backcourt. I don't like our defensive effort in the backcourt, but fortunately for us in that match, especially the third set, I thought we served real well and we blocked some balls like you talked about. When you block balls, you don't have to play defense.
Maybe that's the theory. I wonder, though, if the way we came out serving so well, Maddie served well, and a couple right after him did as well, and we got that big lead. I wonder if that caused us just to let down a little bit in some other parts of the game, particularly in our offense. I thought our offense was a little flat after that.
We didn't pass very well, Mark, and we did not run the middle hardly at all, and that's a real key to our offense, is to have them established in the middle.
Well,
are we done already?
I think we're done. Wow. John's saying we got a whole minute to go.
Oh, I thought we were done. John, you kept whispering in my ear, you're done, you're done, you're done.
I turned the volume on the earphone down because Mike Moss had it turned up in punk rock decibel level, and
well, I thought it sounded like Friday nights at the local establishment when they keep saying, "You're done, you're done, you're done." I thought that's what he was talking about. I thought we were done, but we're not done.
We
can talk some more.
So how much time do we really have, John?
Huh?
Now
seconds.
we have 30 seconds.
Well, I can talk a whole bunch in 30 seconds. Going back to our offense, we have to establish the middle, and if we don't pass the ball well, we can't do that. And we have 2 really good middles. It's extremely important that we get that done, and we did not do that last Sunday.
Right, especially as well. Sidar's played as a freshman. To not have him in the offense, it really hurts us. And Angel, of course, in the middle there.
Absolutely, that has to get better.
Well, I think we're trying to lead out of this segment now, aren't we, John?
Are we done now, John?
Yeah, we're done. So, we'll try to be more professional in the next segment, and we have Ryan Perrott coming in, assistant coach, and also a communications major here at IPFW. So I'm sure the quality of the next segment of interviews will be much higher. So please stay with us here at Channel 56.
This is me. and my mom and dad, and my big brother Alex, and Jack. This is the day I learned that Santas got their name from sand, and that the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, it kills over 1,500 people every year and injures 71,000 more. Inadequate sleep has been linked to health and safety risks, even premature death. But today, new treatments are helping millions get the sleep they need. So talk to your doctor or take our free risk assessment on the web at sleepfoundation.org. Sleep deprivation. It's real, it's dangerous, and it's more treatable than ever.
It's the most magnificent sight in the universe. This planet full of life and wonder. This planet we call home. As an Earth Team volunteer, you can help the Natural Resources Conservation Service care for it, right in your own community. Call 1-888-LANDCARE to find out how, because there's just no place like home.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. If things aren't deteriorating fast enough around here, Arnie is now back in the control room doing the countdown. And he actually got it right, which is pretty amazing. He does a much better job counting backwards from 10 than he does pronouncing our players' names.
You know what happened in the first segment, actually, why there was a little miscue in the countdown? We're trying to mix it up, counting backwards in both French and Spanish.
Both French and Spanish?
That's what happened, yeah. We're not too sure how it goes, but...
Well, we ought to talk a little bit about foreign languages because you're a real international player here. You have a name that can be pronounced in 3 different languages. In English, we call you Parat.
Yes.
Back home in Great White North, when you're among French Canadians, it's Perot.
That's correct.
And when we take you to Puerto Rico, it's Parote.
That's right. And what does Parote mean in Spanish?
Big smelly dog, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm a man of international flavor, so even if it's not really good at the connotation level, I'm a man of international flavor.
Well, I mean, we keep kidding you about that, and then they were actually introducing you by that one.
Like that. I know, can you believe that? Actually, my name gets mispronounced here, too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't
it be just simple, just rock?
Yeah, it would be. Actually, I'm still working on Sadark Siksha, and we're trying to get that right. In old matches, we're getting there.
That's what happens when half the rosters
I know. We need to start recruiting Smiths and Joneses. You know, you think that we'd have at least 2 Smiths on the team. No, we got 2 Ruises.
Speaking of which, I think the first segment, I'm going to date myself a little bit because you mentioned I'm a communications major, but Burns and Allen. What do you think, Burns and Allen?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Mike is going nuts in the back, just to let you know. Just to let you know. Touching everything. The Iron Man's touching everything.
Well, I don't know. He's got a kind of a light weekend this weekend. He and John and Bernie and Steve and the whole rest of the crew at Channel 56 Sports. They're only doing one event. That's the women's basketball.
Saturday.
They're not even televising us.
Yeah.
Saturday. I guess we've become too boring for the...
I think we're having local blackout because the Canadian team's coming in.
Oh, I think the local blackout.
I think that's what's going on. I think that's what it is.
We were on last week at 4, so we the Channel 56 feed was sent over to Channel 33, so they had something to compete with Super Bowl pregame stuff or whatever. Well, I don't know. So I imagine we didn't have a real big viewers audience.
Maybe not.
I wonder if our commercials were as good as the Super Bowl commercials. You think last week?
I think so. I think we could have.
We should have filmed some special ones for it.
That would have been neat.
Next year, if we do this again, we'll work on that.
All right, sounds good.
Ryan, you're well known here. You played here, and I've probably interviewed you several times while you were playing, and you've been helping with the program as a grad assistant pretty much ever since then. You and I do the women's volleyball matches in the fall, and now you're in a full-time position as assistant volleyball coach for the men's program.
Yeah.
And my roommate in Puerto Rico.
I was a model for Mark in Puerto Rico. I think I modeled my lower half, I think.
Yes. We're not going there.
Where does the professionalism come in? Did you mention something professional?
Yeah, you're supposed to be a professional. I have an excuse. I'm just a dumb bean counter, but you're supposed to be a professional in this business. You know that. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about how your role has changed. I mean, obviously playing and your 4 years, and you continue to play as a grad student with the team, help the team, and now all of a sudden you're in a position of really authority as the chief assistant coach on the team.
I found since '99, when I finished playing after the year we went to the Final Four in UCLA, that I keep learning new aspects to volleyball. You know, for so many years I was just focused on playing and learning how to get better as a player, and then becoming a grad assistant, learning, you know, the little ropes behind the scenes as well as continuing my on-court presence. And now behind the scenes, I have learned so much in the short period of time, 5 months or so, and thanks to Coach Ball and yourself and Coach Dennis Johnson, that it's just fascinating what goes on behind the scenes, preparation for players, getting ready for opponents and stuff like that. And it's very demanding. It's very demanding, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And I'm, of course, lucky for the opportunity.
Let's talk a little bit, and this will be kind of hard to describe, but we have a new computer software program that you and Colin Leiter on the women's team are using. In fact, you worked a lot on that on Puerto Rico together, and now that we're back home, Lisa and Roger Horman are doing it up on the running track while we're playing. Yeah. But you actually do the breakdown afterwards and use that to help plan our practices for the upcoming week. It's a
great, I mean, technology obviously is enhancing a lot of things, and this one's helping out in volleyball. I guess the women's program went and got this program, this data project volleyball program, where you can input data of the match and break it down into different things. You can get output into, you know, a specific player hitting in different areas. You can get breakdowns in the side-out offense if you wish. I mean, it's just an unbelievable. I'm still learning the ropes, thanks to Colin Leiter, actually, from the women's volleyball team, and of course with the assistance of Roger and Lisa. I'm still learning a lot, but it is absolutely amazing technology for a volleyball program.
Well, one of the interesting things is how you can, by doing it real time, tie it directly into the videotape, and it's already synced up for you. You don't have to do it after the fact.
Absolutely. Don't have to worry about doing it after the fact, especially here at our home matches, at least, where now Lisa and Roger up on the track, and they're plugging and chugging in as we're videotaping it in real time. And then afterwards, you just go into the back, put in a little tape, and chug away what you want. If you want a side-out offense tape, you can do that. If you want breakdown and hitting, offense, defense, whatever, that computer program does it for you.
Or you can do just one player if you want to do one player's every attack, say from the left side. You could bring them all up, and he'd have a 90-second tape or whatever of every approach, every hit, and he can really work on his own technique by seeing that in a condensed format.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten, you know, that sophisticated in it yet, and Colin continues to teach me the ropes, and he's been absolutely great in regards to that.
And then you use a big screen TV for down in the team meeting room, and so actually you can see a lot. I remember some of the afternoons when we're on a bus and we're looking at a game tape on those little 9-inch monitors, and my eyes are bad enough anyways.
As bad as Mike's hearing?
Yeah, almost. I can't even count the number of players on the floor, let alone which team is which. And of course, Arnie's there saying, "Now, did you see that?" I didn't see that. I hope the players did.
It's a lot. That's one of the things. I know I talk to Colin, I talk to you and Coach Shea sometimes, and I'm now starting to track our offense on paper. I'm trying to come up with new formats to make it a little simpler so I'm able to follow the action, because a lot of the times I find myself like halfway through and looking up and jotting, and very difficult. And there's a lot. When you coach, there's so much involved in coaching, and that's just one of the aspects I got to get used to. So hopefully as time goes on I can become more efficient.
Well, I'm fortunate that way in that I focus on the other team. I don't have to watch anything else. In fact, I train myself not to watch our play.
Right.
And it's not my job anyways, whereas you have to do that. And if you're trying to chart offenses as well as observe other things, provide advice, it's too many things to do.
Yeah, a lot of collaboration on this and this. And I'm really trying really hard. The play of the game is so much faster sitting on at least the sideline than it was when I was a player. Because it's kind of weird, but like Wayne Gretzky used to see the play happen. But sometimes in volleyball, you get to anticipate a little bit and see it. And when you're on the bench, kind of hard to anticipate what's going on. You can see it developing, but not as quick as when I was a player.
So actually, the game is slower when you're on the floor than when you're on the bench?
Believe it or not. It all depends on the pace of the play. I'm like Jennifer Capriati. I like to play at a high tempo.
Like who?
Jennifer Capriati, tennis player.
Okay.
Okay, I should have named the curler for you. I'm sorry. I should have named the curler. But she plays at such a rapid pace. I'm one of those guys who likes, in volleyball, likes to play at a rapid pace. When I'm playing, I like to play at a rapid pace. So, yeah. Jennifer Capriati? Are you kidding me?
I have no idea.
She's not Canadian.
She's not Canadian?
Daniel Nestor, Canadian. #1 tennis player, doubles in the world. Just to let you know.
Okay. I'm glad to know that. Were we watching tennis the other day somewhere? I had no idea what was going on.
Probably Puerto Rico.
Yeah, probably Puerto Rico.
How much sleep did you get in Puerto Rico, by the way?
I think I averaged maybe 40 minutes a night.
I think so, too.
I was so tired when I came back, I'll tell you. I'm getting too old for these long trips. I'm looking forward to Quincy. Just to ride the bus for 7 hours sounds like a... Ryan, what are you working on now with the team? We talked last week, just prior to the match, that maybe the next couple of weeks we're going to focus on physical training. What are you personally working on?
Physical training, and Coach hit it on the head in the first segment. Our backcourt defense has to get a lot better. And part of that, obviously, comes off of our serving. Our blocking has gotten a bit better in the last week that we were able to practice, but our backcourt defense, our intensity, our attitude mentally has to get a lot better. And hopefully in the next couple weeks, where Dalhousie comes in this weekend to play us, that we can get better at that in practice.
Okay, that's assistant coach Ryan Perrott. When we return, Arnie will be back. We'll talk about Dalhousie and maybe a little bit more about George Mason, since we didn't manage to get them in at all in the first segment. Please stay with us.
Step out of the car. Open up the trunk. Check inside.
What's going on?
Hands on the car.
Bingo.
Got it.
Today's teenagers, the way people talk, you'd think they can't do anything right. It's just not so. We get to know over 300,000 kids a year, smart kids, who know what they want. They believe in themselves, and they believe in America. Some go straight to college. Others choose to learn leadership, discipline, courage, and commitment first with us. Today's military, making a stronger America, one good kid at a time.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. Just in case anybody thought that we carefully rehearsed these things or had them well planned, I think today's show disabused you of that notion. Although
you're all out of control today.
Actually, the music came up right this time, and the countdown was right, and now it's up to just the two of us to mess up the segment. We could probably do that.
Yeah.
You know what? I think maybe instead of having us opposite the Super Bowl pregame stuff, they're going to start putting us opposite Howard Stern, because I think we're about in his league right now.
They moved him clear to the back of the channel, so nobody can find him. It's probably like us. We're buried back there too. Hey, didn't we talk about, and we need to discuss this just a little bit more before we go on the road, because we're at home so much, we're home all of January and February. Didn't we decide that when we go on the road that we will take the low-lifest of the freshmen and make them room with rock?
Well, we are going to do something about rooming with rock, because I mean, he is like a chainsaw in slow motion.
I mean, didn't we talk about the freshman that doesn't perform, or screws up doing whatever, that we would say, well, actually no, we just said we're going to put him with Isaac White. Isn't that what we said?
Yeah, you said that. You're going to put him with Isaac.
Yeah, I forgot. We're just going to put him with Isaac. What the heck? Couldn't have to do a nicer guy than Isaac. That's the only way Isaac's ever going to get on TV is for me to talk about him room with rock. So
I don't think we want to put him with Scotty Knurr anymore. I was worried that Scotty was going to do rock physical bodily harm.
He told me that if he had to stay one more day, he was taking all that pre-wrap stuff, they use, he's going to stuff it and wrap it, tape around his head. And then he'd look like a mummy, and we'd all be scared to death. So we don't want that to happen. Anyhow.
George Mason, do you want to talk any more about them?
Or
about the way we played?
We could talk just a smidgen. Because George Mason defeated us twice last year, so it was really nice for us to come back and have them back in our building. And their coach even agreed to come back again next year. So right now I don't have to go back out there. But
that means no Rutgers either.
I think
no Newark.
Yeah, except I like the New York City trip, but we'll have to talk about that. I think it was really a good match for our kids, even though we didn't play at the level we wanted to. Not only to have defeated those guys because they beat us twice last year, but because of the fact that George Mason went 5 with Ohio State and 4 with Ball State. Now they lost to Lewis in 3 the 2 nights before, but I think it helps our kids understand a little bit where we're at within the conference. And we already thought we knew that, but this just helps substantiate that a little bit.
Well, I think it should show them that there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't compete for the conference championship.
I don't think, I think you're right, Mark, and it's a nice early mark. And, you know, we got the Dalhousie team coming in here this weekend that we're going to play on Friday and Saturday, and they're obviously a very strong team from Nova Scotia, and we went to their tournament last year and they kicked our behinds. So it's kind of the same kind of thing we had with George Mason. And of course their coach is really a nice fellow. Their AD up there used to be the coach, and that's how I got associated with them. We'd played in some other tournaments, so I think this will be a nice weekend for us to have some payback as well, but also a chance to maybe hopefully play some other kids, because the following week we have Findlay in here, just a one match weekend, and then the weekend after that is Penn State, so there becomes another measuring stick for us as to where we're at. So and the Dalhousie team is finishing up their season. You know, up in Canada they start like the 1st of October, I think, something like that, late September, and actually play through January, end of February, then they're done. So they're a seasoned team as compared to us just getting started.
I think their national championship's like the first weekend in March or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It's in February, March. Yeah.
Yes.
So once again, it's a really nice measure for our kids. The matches do not count on our record because of their Canadian school, but it's just a great fill for us, and especially for us to be able to play at home. 2 really quality matches for our kids to be part of and for our fans to also see.
Well, if they want to see the matches this weekend, they'll have to come to the Gates Center. We're playing on both Friday and Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Neither is televised. However, Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock, the women's basketball team will be televised here at Channel 56. But for the volleyball team, you have to come and see us in person.
That's okay. We
have a few seats
we need
available.
bodies in the stand, and our team is so much fun to watch right now, and hopefully will continue to be that way, that we would hope people will come and see them.
The players really have been responding well to the fan support we've had so far, like the 2 Santa Barbara matches. They really liked the fact the fans were there and making a lot of noise.
Well, that's part of why we've made a concerted effort to play back in our building. You know, we haven't been over to Coliseum, and I would like to get back to Coliseum, but we need to have 5,000 or 6,000 people there, and not just 1,000 to 1,500, even 2,000. 2,000 people in our building makes the game fun for the fans, and certainly for our players. And there's nothing better as a player than to play in front of a group of people that are very enthusiastic about what you're doing.
Exactly. So that wraps it up for this week.
Are we done already again?
We're done.
Wow, John didn't even mess it up so far.
Yep, and there comes the music. I guess we better shut up and get off.
Hopefully he scrolls the names correctly and doesn't misspell them.
For head coach Arnie Ball, assistant coach Ryan Perrott, John, Steve, Mike Moss, the Iron Man, the whole group here at Channel 56. This is Mark Franke. So long. Thanks for watching. Oh, the sponsors.
Well.
Freedom Financial, Glenbrook Dodge, Marathon Oil, Fujifilm, Alco, Farm Bureau. We love our sponsors, even if I tend to forget them from week to week. So thanks for watching. Join us again next week. Now we're supposed to talk.
Microphones are killed. Now we're supposed to talk.
Welcome to the Arnie Ball Show. This week we're going to preview our match this weekend against Quincy at home. Our guest is middle blocker freshman Sadar Sikcha. And when we come back, Arnie and I are going to talk about our split last weekend with a very good Dalhousie team from Halifax, Nova Scotia. So please stay with us.
I helped turn my child's public school into one with extended hours, 6 days a week year-round, filled with loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One with medical and dental services right there. A school where students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. Turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
Welcome to this week's Arnie Ball Show. I'm your host, Mark Franke, and our sponsors, once again, are Fujifilm, Alco Farm Bureau, Freedom Financial, Glenbrook Dodge, and Marathon Oil. Well, Arnie, after the match Saturday night, as we were shaking hands with the Dalhousie team, they were all saying how they watched our show last week. So that the coach must have made them watch our show as punishment for losing on Friday night, and apparently it was enough incentive because they beat us Saturday.
Do I understand that you're promoting another responsibility for Coach Hartley?
Another responsibility for Coach Hartley?
Is that what I heard you say just a little before we went on the air?
We're not.
Something about some kind of tease?
No, we were not. That was you.
Mm-hmm.
That was not.
I didn't say anything about a tease. You said something about a tease.
Well,
see, and you and John had a really bad mental picture, and I didn't.
John was thinking of Mike Moss. And
I didn't go along with you guys at all.
Yeah, well,
this show is really going quick. No wonder the guys from Nova Scotia watch. There's nothing up there in the Great White North where they live. They finally get down here and see a little entertainment of some kind.
You know what they didn't do? They didn't bring any what they call Keats beer for us. Remember Alexander Keith's beer?
You know what they did bring? I'm going to tell you right now, it stinks what they brought.
What did they bring?
Coach brought me 4 lobsters.
Are they live?
They were frozen.
Frozen?
With an ice pack around them. And of course, he brought them all the way from up there. He gives them to me on Thursday night. I take them home, open the bag, and my wife went, "Oh, what is that?" Oh, do they stink. But they were really good.
So
we ate them on Sunday. They were really good.
So I had a lot of cars in your driveway on Sunday.
Yeah, Mr. Jerry Gagline showed me how to peel them out, and we put them on shish kebabs, and I cooked them on the grill, and they were really good. But were they rotten smelling things?
Really?
Well, I've never got lobster from Nova Scotia before, so how would I even know if they stink? But they do.
I understand from your brother John and some other people that you've gone fishing with that your problems aren't restricted to just lobsters. You have trouble getting about anything.
You talking about fishing now?
That's what Brother John told me. He said you're just not the best fisherman in the family. I think those were his exact words.
Well, we don't want to go there because this is not an X-rated show, so we don't want it to be one. So let's just drop the subject on fishing.
Yeah, if we're going to go X-rated on talking about you and your brother fishing, I think we would definitely change.
Let's go back to the beer that we didn't get.
Let's go back to the beer. That's right.
Well, you know what? That just means we have to make a return trip back to Nova Scotia.
Well, the amazing thing is when we were up there last year, they kept saying the best local beer was Keats, and I'm thinking of the poet or somebody. And all these signs in the gym and everywhere it says Alexander Keith's Brewery, and I had no idea that's who they were talking about. So they have a problem with pronunciating the English language, apparently.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing with the connoisseur that you are that you didn't never heard that before.
Well, I hadn't, but I know it well now.
So we'll just have to go back and visit our favorite establishment up there in
we will have to do that.
Nova Scotia.
And we were fortunate enough that we could provide snow for them because they did that for us last year.
Yeah, they were right at home.
They were right at home.
They were. You know, unlike those Santa Barbara wussies that were here, you know, these guys were right at home, man. They loved it.
The Santa Barbara boys didn't like the weather at all, did they?
Well, I didn't like it when they were here either. I wanted to go back with them. It was so cold. It wasn't so cold here, though, last weekend. We just had snow.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's talk about Dalhousie a little bit. The team, actually they're a very nice team. They're improved from last year when they beat us rather soundly up there, but they're a nice team, and I understand they're leading the Eastern Division of the of their conference up there.
Well, yeah, everybody kept asking me about this team, and of course you and I knew who they were because we were up there last year, and I kept saying, they're a good team, they're a good team. Well, they are a good team, and they are undefeated in their conference. They will make the final 8 of the what would be comparable to our NCAA tournament up there. Go out to Alberta and play in that tournament, and I think they'll do very well. I don't think they're the top team in Canada. It looks like Manitoba is number 1, and Alberta is very strong as well, but I think they'll be certainly in the top 3 or 4. They were a wonderful team for us to play at this time of the year.
I think they're a wonderful team for a couple of reasons. First of all, they're very hard competitors and very, very good sportsmanship, and you just like playing against them because they play very hard. But the other thing was, I think that their team was an opposite of ours. We were strong where they weren't, they were strong where we weren't, and that made it a very interesting match for both nights.
Well, the scores certainly indicate that, with both matches going 15-13 in the 5th set, and on the first night, the first set was real close, and then we didn't play very well, and then we played really well, and it was just up and down. And the second night, the first set is pretty close again, and then we win 2 and 3, and then we play like poop in the 4th set, and the 5th set's a battle. So it was very entertaining, and I thought it was pretty high level volleyball when both teams were playing at a high level. There were some pretty low levels as well with both teams as well, but the match itself was very competitive, and you're right. They were really strong in the middle, and we're really strong on the outside. They played great backcourt defense, and we're a much better blocking team, I think, than they were. So there's some major contrast between the two teams, and they just kind of balanced one another out.
Speaking of middles, we have Sidar Sikcha coming on, and he told me, I missed Friday night. I had an important church function to attend, and he told me Saturday when I came that not only was I not needed, but that he could do my job if necessary. So when he comes up in the next segment, we'll talk to him about that.
Well, you need to talk to him and all the rest of us about that as well, because I think I made some kind of offhand comment in regards to that on Friday night, and how important it was that we come out and really thump these guys so that we could, prove that for once and for all that maybe this big board that you carry around is not important, because everybody asks about that thing, about El Guapo. So what happens is we go back and look at the videotape right out of the shoot, and I showed you this Saturday night, right out of the shoot. They hit an illegal ball out of the back row, and none of us have a clue. And what's your comment? I'd have caught that right away.
That was my job.
I'd have caught that right away.
That's right.
So obviously we do need you there, even though we lost Saturday. I'm not sure what that tells us.
Well, since the players said I'm not needed, I'm thinking that I get out of the Dubuque, Iowa trip, the Quincy, Illinois trip.
What the players,
maybe the Mercyhurst trip.
What the players have failed to realize is that you totally control their financial destiny on the road. I think they really need to have you go along.
Yeah, well, I think they're saving my seat on the bus for the money bag. I don't think they necessarily want me there. So we'll ask Sidar about that. He also called me some kind of, there were 2 adjectives involved, and the last word was German, and so I took it as a compliment, but I think he meant it as an insult. We'll get at that the next segment.
I'm sure it was a compliment. Knowing Sidar, what such a nice young man that he is, everything would be a compliment coming from him.
I noticed when he came into the studio tonight, or this afternoon as we're taping this, that he has a finger bandaged up. So what happened there?
You're just being a wussy. What can I say? He got hit in a blocking drill yesterday, and we really thought it was broken. We went to the doctor this morning, and it is not broken, thank goodness. But it's very sore.
Oh, I bet it is. When we come back, Sidar will join me. We'll talk a little bit about his injury. We'll give him a chance to defend himself. Not very much time, because after all, this is the Arnie Ball Show, not the Sidar Sikcha Show. So please keep it here on Channel 56.
They came from every corner of the country. From small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines. A tough and determined few, dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still they come. Celebrate the 225-year history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
I can listen.
I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. This week we have as our guest freshman middle blocker Sadar Sikcha. Sadar comes to us from Istanbul, Turkey, and we may get a chance to talk about that a little bit during this segment. But first, let's talk about your injury, Sadar. You've got a finger all bandaged up there.
I had a little accident yesterday during practice. While blocking drill, I got hit, and first we thought it was broken, but we went to the hospital this morning, so it's not broken. It's just badly jammed, but the doctor said I should be okay in like 3 or 4 days at most. I should start practice again.
So you think we're taping this on actually around noon on a Tuesday. So by Friday night when we play, you think you'll be ready?
Hopefully. Hopefully I'll be ready. The doctor said I should start practicing on Thursday a little bit, so I hope I can play on Friday against Quincy.
Okay. You're new not only to our program, to the country and all, so you don't even know where Quincy is, do you?
Actually, I don't know. I have no idea where Quincy is.
When we go to Quincy, it's a long drive, let me tell you that. So you will enjoy that bus ride.
Is that in Illinois?
Well, it is in Illinois, but it's the absolute farthest west point in Illinois you can get.
Oh.
It's way where the river bends, and it's about a 7-hour drive.
The bus drive, yeah. That's not good, but...
Well, what we want to do to make the bus drive better is beat them this Friday night and then beat them again there, and then it...
Yeah, that will probably make it more fun.
That'll make it more fun.
Yeah.
Sadar, you come from Istanbul, and you and I have had some conversations, about Istanbul. I've asked you about some of the older buildings.
Yeah.
Going back, we were talking about Hagia Sophia, the big cathedral built by the Byzantines, and then when the Turks took over, they turned it into a mosque, right?
First they did turn it into a mosque, but now it is not used as a mosque. It's just used as a touristic building. Just the tourists come there every day of the year. Hundreds of tourists come every day and just visit there, take pictures, and see the sights around there.
You actually live in the city of Istanbul, right?
Yeah, I actually live in the city.
Within the old walls of
within the old walls
Constantinople.
Of Constantinople, yes.
Wow. So
these old walls of Constantinople actually almost surround most of the city. They surround most of the city, and they are still there. The Turks didn't crush them or anything. They're still there, and you can always go and visit it. And they're really, really old, as you know, hundreds of years old.
Yeah. Well, you're our first Turkish player. We've had players from a lot of different countries. Had one from Greece and a couple from Cyprus. So but you're the first from the Turkish side of the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I'm from the Turkish side, but there are actually only 2 Turkish male players in the men's volleyball history in the United States. So I'm the 3rd one ever to play in the United States in a collegiate level. So one outside hitter in early 80s played in Ball State, and another outside hitter again in early 80s played in Penn State. Just 1 year, but he was a first-team All-American though in Penn State. But I didn't get a chance to meet him. But I did get a chance to meet the player who played at Ball State in the early 80s. He helped me a lot before coming here. He answered all my questions. It was really helpful.
Your English is really good. Did you study English throughout school back home?
Yeah, I did study English in high school for 4 years. And prior to that, I studied some German in middle school, starting in middle school and high school for about 8 years. So my English is okay, I guess.
Did you have an opportunity to speak it conversationally before you came?
No, not at all.
Well,
I haven't had a chance to speak English in Turkey at a conversation between people, no.
No, it's very good. We've got some players that we think came from the United States that don't speak English as well as you do.
Well, yeah, at first I had some problems speaking English, getting into conversations with people because I was not used to it at all. But now I'm getting used to it since it's been around five months since I've been here. So I'm getting used to it.
One of my jobs, my many responsibilities that go largely unrewarded and unheralded on this team, is to make sure our public address announcer, both at home and away, knows how to pronounce all the names, especially when we have foreign players or names that are more than Smith and Jones. Sometimes are very difficult to get them to pronounce. We've been working with Bob, our PA announcer here at home, on yours. I think he has it right now, right?
Yeah, he has it right now, but this is our probably 4th or 5th home game. He has it right now, but he used to say it in a wrong way, and which means which means a bad word in Turkish. Although I don't have problems with that because a lot of people pronounce my name wrong here, so I don't have any problems with it. But the way he pronounced it, it was kind of offensive in Turkish.
You should not have said that because Coach Ball's back in the studio. He will remember that, and he will always mispronounce it when he's mad at you.
Well, I hope he doesn't, so because it's
well,
really offensive.
He does tend to struggle with a lot of the names, even some real simple ones. But so where I end up with yours, I don't know. But the other thing is, I have learned a couple of particularly offensive terms in Turkish that I use when I don't think you're serving tough enough. But we won't go into those on the air.
No. Hope not.
It's kind of like my effort at multiculturalism. I've learned how to insult people in multiple languages, helping this team over the years.
Yeah, I recognize that you're trying to learn some Turkish words and some German words.
Yeah, what kind of German did you call me the other night?
I called you old school German.
An old school German?
But it was because of your mustache.
Oh.
And because it looks like just an old school.
An old school German? Well,
but you said you're an old school
I am an old school
so
German.
It was not offensive.
Yeah, but you meant it that way.
No.
Sardar, you're playing in the middle. You've come in as a freshman. You're playing in the starting lineup. How is the type of volleyball we play here at IPFW in the States and the NCAA different from what you learned back home?
It is actually not that different because college volleyball here, especially at men's level, since there are not too many teams all over the country, is really high. And the volleyball, the pro volleyball or the junior level, I used to play in Turkey. It was quite high too, or at international level, it was really high. So it's not that different, but college volleyball here in men's, it's pretty fast tempo sets to the pins. The middles are really important, and here just some of the rules are different since the games here go up to 30. But as you know, the international level goes to 25. That's what I was used to. Even that, I had some trouble adjusting to that at first, couple of weeks, maybe a month. Here, when the ball goes up to the roof and touches the roof, you have to continue playing. I couldn't adjust to that for a couple of months because back home when it touches the roof, you just turn your back to the ball because it's over. But here you have to keep playing. That was quite different.
Well, that's interesting. In fact, I've never understood why we play it off the ceiling. In fact, sometimes we'll play it off the curtains that are hanging on the side. It'll hit those curtains going out, come back in, and then the ball's in play.
Actually, that happened to us the previous game. The ball, they turned it from the curtain, and they had a point, which actually should be our point, but.
Well, we'll see if we can get a rules change in place for you, because I don't like that rule either. What about the offensive systems? Are they different in terms of the kinds of sets that you get or the plays you run?
Actually, the plays I run from the middle are not that different. They're almost the same all around the world. You run quick sets, you run A's, you run back quicks, and that's about it. You don't run a lot of different plays. They're not that different, but as I said, you have to be real fast. You have to be up there every time, and that's a little bit different here in college. You got to be real fast, especially in the middle.
In the last 45 seconds or so that we have, Sadar, tell us what you're majoring in.
I'm majoring in business management, and I have a minor in German. So I hope to get a business major here.
And with German, then go back home and work in business in Turkey?
Yeah, when I go back home or if I find a job here, I must stay here.
You're going to stay here?
I might.
Oh, you might. Well, we'll try our best to keep you here for 4 years. How's that? Then we'll see where it goes from there.
That sounds good.
That was freshman middle blocker Sadar Sikca. Sadar is from Istanbul, Turkey, and has just joined us this year as a new player. When we come back, Arnie and I will preview our upcoming match with Quincy, so please keep it here on Channel 56.
It's the most magnificent sight in the universe. This planet full of life and wonder. This planet we call home. As an Earth Team volunteer, you can help the Natural Resource Conservation Service care for it, right in your own community. Call 1-888-LAND-CARE to find out how, because there's just no place like home.
Excuse me, I can't seem to find these anywhere.
Huh. These books are no longer available.
I didn't know.
May I have your name, please?
Why?
Excuse me.
What did I do?
We just have a couple of questions.
Easy, easy.
A Stargate. That's the door to other worlds that my character Tilk and the rest of my team use on Stargate SG-1. It's a door to exploration and exciting adventure. And education can provide you with a similar passageway to a world full of possibilities. So stay in school and graduate.
Welcome back to the Arnie Ball Show. In this final segment, I'm going to try very hard to get Arnie to talk about our upcoming match with Quincy, and we've only got 6 minutes to do it in. So, Arnie, why don't we start right off with Quincy?
I got to go back to Sardar.
Sadar.
Well, he says Sardar part of the time, so I say Sardar, and then I say Sadar, and he goes Sardar. And so that's why I can't ever get him right. You guys change him all the time on me. Anyhow, I want to go back to him just for a second. Because you were talking to him about the differences between the way they play there and the way we play here, and he's correct. Volleyball worldwide is pretty similar. Terminology is a little different. I think our terminology is different than what they use, but the play sets is out. But the one big difference, and there is a big difference for most international players, European players in particular, at the position that he plays. Most generally, that position calls its set on serve reception. And in our country, or in our systems, the setter calls that set. If you'll notice, before every serve receive, he's giving Dennis a signal, and Dennis is going, yeah, whatever. If I do that, coach is going to be mad at me. Do what I tell you. But that, you know, for a middle hitter, that's a pretty significant difference to have to learn, because they're looking over there predetermining what it is they want to hit, where in our case, we want the setter to predetermine so we can run a system.
Yeah, and you've designed the offense so that every hitter is in some kind of system, so that you've got misdirection, you've got blockers going everywhere, and if the middle's calling his own and you've got the two outside hitters going somewhere and a back row hitter, you could get all fouled up, couldn't you?
That's what we believe to happen. We get fouled up anyhow, but that's the intent of the whole thing. And so that really is a major change for those kids coming over here, especially playing that position. Second thing about him is, John and I were talking back in the booth, how marketable is this guy going to be? I mean, he's a great student. He's a Chancellor's Merit Scholar here at the university. He had a 1200 on the SAT test. He speaks Turkish, he speaks German, he speaks English very well, as you talked to him about.
And if he stays on our team, we'll have to learn Spanish.
Eventually, yeah. I mean, this young man has a wonderful future ahead of him.
Going back to I've lost my thought.
Want to go to Quincy? I'm ready to go to Quincy now.
Yeah, are we going to go to Quincy?
I'm ready to go now.
I just drew a blank. Going back to the plays being called, we should probably point out to people, if you're in the stands, or it's not so easy to see on TV if you're watching on Channel 56, but before, for instance, when the other team's serving to us, you'll see our setter, Dennis Santiago, turn around and give hand signals to all the hitters. And each hand signal represents where he wants that hitter to go and what kind of set that hitter should expect, right?
That's correct. Dennis is just like the quarterback on a football team. If the quarterback comes to the line of scrimmage, wants to change the play, and he's doing these kind of things, audibles or hand signals, they use the same thing. That's what Dennis does, only we don't have the luxury of being in a huddle to call the play. One team, he tried that one time and it didn't work. And then in transition, the players actually verbalize to Dennis, and he has to listen as we change the play sets as it goes along, depending on the pass. We ought to talk about that someday. Maybe we don't have Dennis on because you won't understand him, but we ought to talk about that someday.
He's even hard to understand when he hand signals.
Yeah, that's true.
Quincy, got 2.5 minutes.
Payback.
Oh, yeah. That's what we say every week. Everybody play, we owe them for last year.
And that's, what else is there to say? Actually, they have 4 of their 5 starters back. They have Barreto back, which is the middle hitter, who is an all-conference player, potential All-American player, sees a lot of balls. Very similar to Angel Ruiz on our team. He does not come out of the back row. He stays in, does some passing, hits primarily out of the back row. The problem that Quincy has right now, if they have a problem, is that they have a new setter, because they lost their setter, who was also an all-conference player, and that's really changed the tempo and their flow and their offensive system. But they beat us twice last year, and we're not used to getting beat by Quincy. So I'm in hopes our kids remember that, and they will by the time I get done with them, and are ready to play on Friday.
I wonder if they might be able to bring back Coach Johnson's all-time favorite player, Mr. Steinkooler.
We don't want him back.
We don't want Steinkooler
back.
We
don't want him back. I don't even know what he's doing now, but Tim's done really a nice job at Quincy to develop that program. They're a Division II program. Them and Lewis and Mercier, so the 3 Division II programs in our conference. And as we know, having been at Division II, they can recruit some different kind of players as compared to what we recruit. And I think he's done really a nice job down there. They lost to George Mason 3-1. They've beaten Clark. They've beaten a couple other teams. They're undefeated in the conference right now, and they play Ball State on Saturday. So I don't know whether they'll look past that or not, but that's not the point. We only have the one match this weekend, so we need to focus on Quincy.
So this Friday night, 7 o'clock at the Gates Sports Center against Quincy. It will not be televised here on Channel 56. You'll need to come out. Channel 56 will televise the men's basketball game Saturday afternoon at 3. So I guess that wraps it up, right?
Are we done?
I think we're getting close to done.
Are we close to the tees yet? That's what I want to know. Oh, the tees is the front end, isn't it? I'm sorry.
The tees
is the front end.
The tees is the front end. Here comes the music. John wants us off the air.
We're done, huh?
For head coach Arnie Ball, middle blocker Sadar Siksha, John back in the control booth trying to maintain order and probably not doing a very good job of it given what he's working with. Our sponsors, Fujifilm, Alco Farm Bureau, Freedom Financial, Glenbrook Dodge, Marathon Oil. It's Mark Franke. Thanks for watching. Join us again next week. So long.